America is one of the world's most wealthiest and influential nations. With such power, it's understandable to worry about where we're going from here. And though it is impossible to see into the future, we can look into the past for insight. By analyzing the history, success, and failures of other large, powerful empires, we will be better equipped to handle the challenges of our time and avoid similar failures. I have always been fascinated by the Roman Empire and have spent lots of time reading and learning its history. I will tell you how Rome became one of history's most notorious empires and how it subsequently fell into obscurity. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, at its height, Rome was inhabited by 70 million people. The empire originated in current day Italy by a group known as the Etruscans. There it was isolated by the Apennine Mountains. The Etruscans largely spoke Latin and were polytheistic, believing in many different Greek gods. Eventually, the Etruscans began to either ally with or destroy competitors, and the Roman Empire began. The Romans originally had kings, but this would lead to lots of domestic disputes, which often turned violent. This was when the idea of a republic was created. Their republic works similarly to how ours works. Two magistrates were elected by the Senate. However, this system was hardly considered democratic because the Senate was primarily made up of rich patricians, meaning if you were not a rich, noble man, you had no say. Around 493 BC, the lower class plebeians revolted through strike until they were eventually given more rights in the system. Using the new system of government, they created the laws on 12 tablets, giving basic rights to all Roman citizens. Rome was in control of the Italian peninsula, but they were small potatoes compared to the real Mediterranean powerhouse, Carthage. In 264 BC, the First Punic War would be fought over control of Sicily. There would be another 118 years and three more wars until the Romans would conquer Carthage, subsequently taking control over the Mediterranean. After this new wealth and territory was acquired, internal dispute across arose, and people started making power grabs. Julius Caesar, a Roman general who at the time was conquering stuff in Britain, marched his army into Rome to settle this dispute. After a brief civil war, Julius took control of Rome as its tyrannical dictator until he was assassinated only a year later by members of the Senate. Caesar's nephew, Octavius Caesar, took power after arresting conspirators in the Senate. However, Octavian would not install himself as a dictator, deciding to keep the Senate and the Republic intact. What followed was 200 years of, of Roman prosperity. The empire nearly doubled in size. Their battle-hardened and tactically advanced military allowed them to expand most of Europe and even North Africa. Rome created networks of roads and aqueducts connecting the empire. They made great strides in sanitation, art, and philosophy. But military strength alone was not enough to control the vastness of its empire. The numerous cultures the Roman Empire encompassed would never truly accept their Roman rulers. The downfall of the Roman Empire was not instantaneous. It was a slow and methodical decay lasting hundreds of years. Rome was hit by a plague, which according to the World History Encyclopedia killed 5 million Romans, 3% of its population. Multiple Germanic tribes allied together to regain control of Europe. In order to maintain control over their vast empire, the Roman Empire was split into districts, each with its own emperor. This created much dispute within the empire, and eventually in 395 BC or EC, the empire permanently broke into East and West Rome. Rome was no doubt one of history's most powerful and influential empires, and though it is not around today, it will have a lasting impact on the world for thousands of years to come. By analyzing the history of the Roman Empire, we are able to draw parallels between then and now. Events in America's history are eerily similar to that of Rome, from its system of government to its civil wars. History is not just a collection of stories. It is thousands of years of collected data for us to analyze and reflect on, and if we do not learn from events in the past, we will be doomed to repeat them.